Hey admins, how we doing out there? Happy Memorial Day weekend, everybody. I hope everybody had a fun and safe 3-day weekend, and I hope that everybody remembers the reason why we have that 3-day weekend. And I want to take a moment to thank all those who gave their lives so we could have that freedom. I'm going to try to make this short. I'm really trying to keep my videos under 5 minutes. Let's see if I can get through all of this real quick. First of all, want to thank all my lodges for turning in their lodge safety inspection forms on time. Everybody did it before the deadline, saved the lodge with its insurance, and I want to explain about that in a second. Had to twist a few arms and do a little friendly nudging to get it done, but everybody was done on time. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. I did have people ask about that, and I know we have some new administrators out there and board members that don't quite understand that. They say, well, why does Moose International raise our insurance for? Well, Moose International, if it had its choice, it wouldn't raise your insurance. It's the insurance company Lockton, and their only recourse if they're not, if you aren't checking this information that's in those lodge safety inspection forms, that's their only recourse, is to up your insurance by 10% as a penalty for not verifying that information, because there's some important stuff on there, because we don't want you just to go through there and check some of that stuff off and not have really checked it out, because, checking to see if if there are slip, trips, and falls near doors, stairwells, things like that, checking fire extinguishers, looking for those emergency lights and make sure they're working, the floodlights work. That's all important stuff that we have to be reminded every now and again to check. And if we're checking that stuff off and saying, yes, it's working, and then there should be some unforeseen accident, which God forbid that happens, and then they go back and say, well, you said this and this was working, this was the cause of an injury or worse, a possible death, they may not cover that. So we need to make sure we're doing that. Again, I want to say thank you that everybody was on time. We had 100% participation. Again, they gave us the 2 extra weeks, and there's no reason to wait to the last minute on any of these things, including 990s that are in the process now. Don't wait to the last minute. It makes things very difficult. If we look at our weekly stats, we realize we are down about 500 and some for the association for the state of Indiana, about 300 in the south and 200 in the north. We know that Moose International had a gain of 5,000 and some odd members last year, and that's fantastic. Of course, with an organization with hundreds of thousands of members, a gain is good, but 5,000 is like that lodge that gets the +1. They're just one up. That's okay. But the association was down 1,200 last year, and that's on us. We need to make sure we're having activities in our lodges every day of the week that we're open, and having reasons for members to come in, whether that be fundraising events, doing charity work. Doesn't matter what the activities are during the week. Even small ones add up, even if they're, just having something that brings in, 8 to 12 people. That's 8 to 12 people that weren't going to come in otherwise. So small things add up after a while. So please keep on that. As of today, this is Monday the 30th, 15 lodges in the south and several up north had not turned in their endowment in yet. That concerns me. I'm hoping that there were a lot that sent them in last week and maybe got there towards the end of last week and it just didn't get in my report this week, and maybe it will be in there next week. Remember, we have to be turning in those endowments monthly. You should turn them in at the beginning of the month, each month from what you collected the month before, and those should go off about the same time you're sending your AR payment in. You should be sending in your endowment also. Remember, it's the same address, 155 South International Drive at Mooseheart. But remember, it's going to 2 different places once it's there, so it should be 2 different envelopes if you're mailing in the old-fashioned way. One goes to Moose Charities, one goes to Moose International. The AR payment goes to the finance department at Moose International. If you just put Moose International on both those envelopes, your Moose Charities check may go to will definitely go to the wrong building, and it could take some time before it gets from there to the proper building on campus, and then you may not get proper credits. That's why we send it in early, and we make sure the right address is on it. Again, getting the Premier Lodge Award was going to be easier this year because the per capita for giving is down, because it was across Moose International down last year. The +1 is always the hardest thing to get. I understand that. And I understand that some lodges don't feel that Premier Lodges are important, but that's, a good way to brag to your lodge that, hey, we're doing well. We got a Premier Lodge. We've given to Moose Charities. We've done community work, and it looks like we're going to have 6 lodges in the south and 5 up north wearing Premier Lodges. So that's a total of 11. That's down from 20 last year. I know that I had about 5 or 6 myself that were just this close to getting it and missed it by one thing. They only gave 9 months out of 10, so they weren't eligible. Their enrollments and orientations, they only gave 5 and didn't report a 6th and couldn't prove that they had given a 6th one. Heart of the Community, 1 quarter, they didn't either enter anything in, or they entered just enough and didn't didn't enter just enough and didn't get a good grade, so they missed it by doing 1 extra event, and getting a good grade in Heart of the Community is actually pretty easy. Again, it's that +1 that's a tough thing. So hopefully this year we'll do much better. Along the lines, talking about Premier Lodge Award, convention's coming up. Today's the 30th. So anybody wanting to register, pre-register and save $50 on their registration, pre-registration is only $50. You need to get that online now or have it in the mail postmarked by June 1st, which I do believe is Wednesday. So we need to get on that. Otherwise, it's going to be $100 for registration in there and on location. For those lodges that are trying to get Premier Lodge Awards, all you have to have is lodge representation. So any member going to convention that's registered for the convention and goes to at least 1 workshop, session, class, something, if they get their name badge scanned, you get credit for having someone at convention. So we need to make sure they're getting scanned. That's an important part. If the lodge is sending somebody as a delegate, so you don't have an administrator or a president going and you're sending someone in their stead, the lodge officers have to vote on it. The membership has to approve that. And simple way is just have your regular lodge officer meeting approve it, then have the general membership approve those minutes in the next meeting. And then there needs to be a letter with official letterhead from the lodge stating that so and so is our representative. Make sure it's signed by the president and administrator. Then at registration, they'll take that letter to registration and they'll get a thing put on their name tag that they're an actual delegate and able to vote on things. So that's an important thing. If you don't go, even if you're sending somebody in the stead of a president or administrator, that does not give the president or administrator the leadership award at the end of the month or at the end of the year. They have to actually have been there, but it gives the lodge representation for being a Premier Lodge winner. The very last thing, we're at 7.5 minutes. I want to stay under 5. This week, myself and Mark Benton, the Northern Territory Manager, we will be going to field staff meetings at Mooseheart leaving on Wednesday. So we will be limited access to us when we're at those meetings. Plus, we'll be at 7th and 8th grade graduation, the seniors graduation, and pilgrim conferral. We're not allowed to answer our phones during those times, so just leave us a message however you normally do, or that be voicemail, text, or email. But it may take us a while to get back to you, maybe even the next day or so. So just know that we're out of reach most of the week starting Wednesday. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Thank you very much. I kept it under 10 minutes. It's only 8.5. You all have a good week. Take care. Bye.